Bone, joint, and muscle injuries, they can happen without warning. That's why UPMC Orthopedic Care provides convenient walk-in access at our injury clinics throughout the region. No appointments are needed, just walk in for expert evaluation and exceptional care by our team of orthopedic specialists. Clinics are located in Carlisle, Lidditz, Harrisburg, and Enola. For directions and hours or to learn more, visit upmc.com/injuryclinic.
Welcome, everybody, to another exciting edition of the Pennsylvania High School Football Report Podcast. I'm Brian Linder. I'm here with Rymir Vaughn. Rymir, what's up, my man?
How you doing, Brian?
And Evan Wheaton. Evan, what's up, my man?
What it do, baby?
So now you guys know what they sound like. If you're a new listener to the podcast, when they talk, you'll know who's speaking. And if you're a longtime listener, well, you already know. We're actually recording this on Thanksgiving Eve. So this is the Thanksgiving Eve. We have prepared almost absolutely nothing because we've all been moving around and doing things, so we've got nothing prepared to talk about. We're working without a net here, guys. But we do have some good content because look, we're down to the Final Fours, getting ready to go into state. I tell you what, before we get to that, I did want to bring up some big news statewide. Peyton Falzoni, the quarterback from Nazareth, is decommitted from Virginia Tech. He is a 2026 player. Some people consider him to be the top player in the 2026 class of Pennsylvania. I personally will die on the hill that Kevin Brown from Harrisburg, the Penn State commit and offensive lineman, is the top player in the 2026 class. But some people do have Peyton ranked up there, and he is a fine quarterback. He's out of Virginia Tech. I think he just recently visited, I want to say maybe Ohio State. And I know that Gavin Sidwar recently, I think, visited Ohio State as well, the quarterback from the South College. Gavin is a senior. Peyton, of course, is a junior. Kind of interesting that I think he went on that visit. I think Evan might be looking it up, but I think he went.
Yeah, I actually have your rundown per rivals. You're right, Kevin Brown, number 1. But number 6, Peyton Falzone, Nazareth. And then obviously Matt Sig, Joey O'Brien, Messiah Mickens, Tyler Merrill, Kevin Brown. Those two interchangeable, of course.
I think there are some sites that have him ranked number 1, though. But again, a ranking is just, it's anybody's opinion. And I'm not knocking Peyton. I think Kevin's a top player. But look, I mean, Peyton's 6'5" and 210 pounds or whatever. And he's got these big enough offers. Like I said, the kid just visited Ohio State, and I think he came back and decommitted, which I don't know if we, should read anything into that, guys. But when you're that size, you got that kind of school looking at you, who knows where you can end up, right? It could be 10 years from now saying I sounded stupid for saying, that I thought he wasn't a number 1 player. But, again, no, not, because I think he's a good player. Any thoughts on this Peyton Falzoni thing? I know he's not necessarily in our hyper local area, but we are the PIAA High School Football.
Well, hey, our good friends over at Lehigh Valley Live caught up with Peyton. Guys, check that out. He, obviously big statewide news to have someone like that decommit, and it's kind of been happening a lot. He did that, and obviously Gavin Sidwar, quarterback out of LaSalle, decommitted from Rutgers after they had beaten St. Joe's Prep, and Zaire Mathis, number 1 PA recruit in class 2025, had a decommitted as well from Ohio State. So, you have these top prospects decommitting and, opening up the board. Phone's hot. So kind of seeing this a good amount.
The NIL money.
Hey, dude, listen, and I'll tell you what else has been I've seen a lot here. You guys, I'm sure, have seen this too on social media. You high school kids, man, look, the game's changed. I had a coach from a college. Actually, I know him from my hometown. He grew up. I watched him playing as a kid, just playing on the side during basketball games and stuff, football games. His dad was one of my teachers, and he was our high school's offense coordinator. Now he's coaching wide receivers at a college. And he hit me up about a kid from here who was a pretty darn good wide receiver and has been playing at a school in Florida for the last couple of years. He hit the portal. Um, that's Anjay Feliciano. He played at Conrad Weiser, was a really good kind of big receiver. He hit the portal. Harold O'Neal, the linebacker from Harrisburg. Harold and I have a great relationship. Good kid, man. I think he led Shepherd, which is a good look. Tyson Bagent came from Shepherd, right? Good PSAC school. I think he led them in tackles last year. He's in the portal for his last year. I think he started at East Tennessee State. Good player there. Leck Powell, the former Bishop McDevitt quarterback who was also at Shepherd. He's in the portal. Seeing a bunch of local guys. I've retweeted them, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some who are in the portal. Point being, guys, I know you guys have probably seen all of this, but the game has changed out here for these young kids, and we talked about this before. So first and for starters, if you got that PSAC offer, and let me ask you guys what you think about this. Let's say you're sitting there and right now you got a PSAC offer, I would commit. First of all, everybody's jumping in the portal right now. I think you just saw that Matt Rule said that Nebraska could have between 30 and 50 kids hit the portal. So everybody's jumping in the portal. D1 schools are going to be looking for these kids who are, got a year or two of college season in, right, to fill roster spots, be quick fixes. And if you do go to a PSAC school, now you're seeing, if that's the offer you got, how to D1 right now. If you go there for a year or two, you do what you're supposed to do and stand out, then you could hit the portal too. I mean, it's just the game has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunities. I think if you don't have that D1 opportunity right now and you're a senior, I'm not sure it's coming. I don't know what you guys think about that, but it's definitely a different time than it was maybe like 8 years ago.
Yeah, you see a lot of portal movement. Yeah, I was talking with coworker Dan Sostek the other day. Angel Cabrera, former Hershey running back, he was a total bell cow for those guys. Helped lead them to the District 3-5A semis last year. He went to Millersville, and he recently announced he's putting his name in the portal. You're kind of seeing portal movement all over the place. It's to your point, Brian. It's just it's a different landscape. You have a lot of movement in the portal. It wasn't really like this when I was kind of growing up, when Rymir and I were growing up.
It's like it creates just so many opportunities for other players. So if you do go to D2, D3 school, JUCO even, and you play well, there's going to be movement on D1 rosters all the time. So it just creates more and more opportunities for those guys, especially because teams that want to win, they're looking for experienced players. They're looking for guys that played 2-3 years in college and has that experience regardless of level play, and it creates so many opportunities for those guys.
I think that's also the thing is these are kids who are trying to make the best decisions that they can for themselves, right? Like trying to get to where they think they can be their best versions of themselves. You have a lot of change and transfer portal stuff, but it's young men making pretty impactful decisions for like their futures, trying to college is a hard choice.
Yeah.
So I think everyone wants to get to their forever spot, forever in this case being like their long-term college spot, right?
Yeah, I'm just scanning down the list of guys I've reposted on Twitter and retweeted, and like Ty Kephart's another one, the Bishop McDevitt linebacker safety. He was at Shippensburg this year, had 33 tackles as a freshman. He just hit the portal. Amir Dudley, who was a really good quarterback here in state. I think he moved to maybe receiver or DB at Harvard. He's in the portal as an athlete. Tegan Wilk, another good safety from Berwick, he hit the portal. Manny Miller, really good defensive end from Altoona a couple years ago, was a first-team all-area player for us from St. Francis. He hit the portal, defensive end there. Tyrell Ford, a kid I loved Tyrell Ford coming out of CDE, 6'1", 175 corner, could run, very athletic. He hit the portal out of St. Francis with 2 years to go. So the list is long there, guys. Caleb Schmitz is another guy He was at Cincinnati. A Warwick kid who I was really high on when he was at Warwick. He's in the portal. So, point being, guys, if you are this senior and you're sitting out there right now and you got a PSAC offer or a smaller school offer, you might want to think about committing, because the great shuffle's on right now. The D1 schools, part of the reason probably you haven't gotten that offer is that they're looking for these kids jumping in the portal, because they would rather get a 21-year-old or a 22-year-old than a 18-year-old who hasn't been in the college game yet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 8 or 9 years ago, you might have gotten that D1 offer. That's the bad news. The good news is that you can still get that D1 offer. And you know what? Instead of going to a smaller D1, you might can go to a PSAT school and actually play for a year or two instead of redshirting and transfer to a bigger school than you would have gotten anyway. So I think you got to kind of look at the give and take of this and attack it, and try to go after what you can get positively, because it's definitely a different atmosphere than it was 6-7 years ago.
That's another thing too I'd add is like looking at what maybe total like playing time, right? Like you want to get on the field, get playing time, like maybe you get more playing time at one of these PSAC schools, and it's no matter what division you are, like the chance to play college football and the chance to get playing time in college and to get a scholarship, like doesn't really matter. Like when you look at like life success, you can find that at any level of football.
Transferring up used to be a whole different ball game, and it used to be just a different atmosphere around it. Now it's, more or less, some of these schools are more or less now becoming JUCOs, and I guess that kind of isn't great for their culture. But what are you going to do? I always kind of err on the side of the kids, and what's best for them. And I guess there are arguments you can make, as far as loyalty and stuff like that. But you know what? So often college programs don't have loyalty to athletes, and coaches don't have loyalty to athletes. So I side with athletes most of the time. But it is an interesting situation. It's something to talk about, something to keep looking. If you guys are on social media, you're out there looking, a lot of people were jumping in. And like you young guys were sitting there, and you might have a pretty good school who's giving you an offer. You might want to start thinking hard about it. I tell kids to take as much time as you need and make the decision that's right for you. But man, if Nebraska alone saying they're going to have 30 to 50 kids hit the portal, and then like I said, you've seen all these PSAC kids, these D1 schools are going to be looking at them too, looking to see how they play. It's a tough atmosphere to get that offer. So if you got it right now, we're just a couple weeks away from putting pen to paper for a lot of these, a lot of the top guys. You might want to start thinking about doing something.
And hey, let this be like, this is the Thanksgiving edition of the podcast, right? Like guys are home, chilling with family members, like bring these conversations up for any young football players listening. Like you're with family right now, have these conversations, and it's never too early to figure out college, never too late to try and make a move either. That's kind of the basis of the conversation of all the movement that we see. Always got to try and make moves forward.
We got a guy here that was heavily recruited coming out of Overbrook, and Rymir. And Rymir, how did you handle all of those offers? Coming
all the Overbrook stories, man. I'm here for it.
I was heavily recruited by Community College of Philadelphia to be on their communication study degree.
Before we really jump into this, who we think could win state and looking at the Final Four real quick, dude, what's up with your Temple Owls shaving points? What's going on here now? Look, you're a Temple guy. You've been at Temple recently. What's going on, man? Hazier Miller was like your best player. He's getting accused of shaving points. You hope that's not true, because he's a Pennsylvania guy and a heck of a player. But I don't know, man. This sounds kind of wild to me.
See, I can give you the story off air, but I'm not going to do it on air because it's not.
Well,
if this were a basketball podcast, Brian would be asking me about Dan Hurley's antics and UConn losing 2 straight.
Well, Dan Hurley, look, I can get with not liking to lose stuff. I had worked when I coached the 12-year-old Bulls to back-to-back Walterboro Recreation titles. So, But anyway, all right. Well, I got to get that off the air story from you. I mean, I don't know about how you feel, man. They're saying your squad was shaving points, man.
Yeah, Rymir. What do you got to say about that?
First off, I was at those games. Like, I was covering those games. It was no way in hell. They were going to get beat regardless. Right? They were going to get beat regardless. As I said, there's a lot that I can't
So make
say.
all schmool on the side is what you're saying.
There's a lot that I can say that I can't say, while we're recording.
Okay.
But like I said, I will tell you guys after the
his
entire
signal
story.
dropped when we brought this out. He might have had some insider knowledge.
He might have been shaving points himself.
Yeah.
Shit, I wish. I wish I was out there on the court shaving points.
I don't know. If you read it, it's like, I mean, the lines jump crazy like day of game and stuff. So it's, I mean, enough where they were alerting casinos to shady activity. So I don't know. Look, Kazir Miller, great player, great high school player in Pennsylvania. He did get dismissed from Virginia Tech. I guess when these allegations began to crop up, you hope that it's just accusations and that he can get his life back on track and maybe get to play hoops somewhere. Because this kind of thing, man, if you get caught doing this, it's kind of done for hoops. So.
Bone, joint, and muscle injuries, they can happen without warning. That's why UPMC Orthopedic Care provides convenient walk-in access at our injury clinics throughout the region. No appointments are needed, just walk in for expert evaluation and exceptional care by our team of orthopedic specialists. Clinics are located in Carlisle, Lidditz, Harrisburg, and Enola. For directions and hours or to learn more, visit upmc.com/injuryclinic.
Anyway, about all this is football. Who we got? Who? Let's talk about. Look, we're obviously going to play semifinals tomorrow and Saturday. Well, I mean Friday and Saturday. But let's talk about. I think Epler and Dostik talked a little bit. Let's talk about who we think can win all of this. I mean, I don't know where you want to start, Evan, but you got the.
May I take it from here?
Yeah, where you want to start? You want to start at the bottom or the top?
I'll start at the bottom, man. So I really want to talk about the 1A bracket here. So, not to get sentimental, but I'm coming on year 4 of living in Pennsylvania. I'm starting to see, like, the freshmen who I covered from previous coverage areas kind of rising to the occasion right now. Muncie, District 4 champion out of Williamsport area in District 4. They face Bishop Guilfoyle, who District 6 champion, who I actually got to see a couple of years ago as well when I was covering Canton's run after they knocked out Steel High. Those two are going to go at it in the semifinals at Lock Haven University. Look, we'll get to the other half of the bracket as well, but like Muncie, Austin Johnson, 4-year starter at running back. I covered him, not just football, but like he tremendous wrestler out of Muncie. Anyone who knows like the wrestling scene out of Muncie, it's a heck of a school for it. Austin Johnson was, a win away from being just the first freshman in Pennsylvania's history of winning a heavyweight title, state title. They have been doing it the right way. It's been a special year for kind of that area. South Williamsport obviously made the state semis last year. Steel High took them out. And now you have Muncie against Bishop Guilfoyle. Bishop Guilfoyle's been doing it better than most at 1A. That's going to be one heck of a matchup at Lock Haven on Friday. And I'm sure we'll be able to get a box score from that. Looking at the other end of the bracket, Fort Allegheny, Fort Cherry. We've talked a good amount about what Fort Cherry's been able to do. They're obviously in the state final last year for a reason. Matt Sig, Penn State commit, recently announced his commitment. I believe he's going to Penn State as a safety, Brian.
Yeah.
But he plays quarterback as well. And he's set a lot of records for them. And we're looking at one heck of a exciting Final Four matchup in 1A, especially when you look at Steel High moving up to 2A classification. I know Steel High season's over, but like we're gonna get kind of a new champion at 1A. Guys, is there anything that kind of stands out to you in the 1A bracket?
Well, I think it's going to be. Matt Sig and Fort Cherry. Now, I would be surprised if it's anybody else. You know, they've been there before. They're rolling. They, you know, they got a good. Now, Guilfoyle's in there, right?
Yeah, Bishop Guilfoyle versus Muncie.
Well, they're going to beat the brakes off Muncie. Your boys in Muncie and Austin Johnson are going to get whipped up on. So, you know.
Yeah, and you know what? That comes to be quite a run for Muncie, quite a run for Austin Johnson's career. I mean, we'll see how things go. Bishop Guilfoyle, again, I got to see them beat the brakes off of Canton back when Canton was making one heck of a go a couple of years ago. So if it's the same Bishop Guilfoyle, I know. Yeah, maybe we're looking at a Bishop Guilfoyle versus Fort Cherry state final. I think if I were to pick right now, looking at this bracket based on what I know, I'm looking at Bishop Guilfoyle versus Fort Cherry.
Dude, Guilfoyle's 13-1. They just beat Westinghouse 56-15. That Westinghouse team's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
They're winning Cambria 28-27. I mean, that would be a really good state championship game.
Yeah. So, yeah. A couple of years ago,
Muncie or Port Allegheny pulls it out, there's just like no chance.
Muncie.
I'll tell you about my Muncie story.
Way that Muncie has run the ball, man. That O-line, Austin Johnson, like Muncie's been so good. And for them to get to this point, obviously, you know, but still, the way Bishop Guilfoyle has been in these moments before, and so is Fort Cherry. I think I have those two guys meeting at Chapman Field. That'll be a really, really exciting 1A state final if it's those two guys.
So here's my Muncie story, and don't at me and don't get mad at me for saying this, people, because I'm just speaking the truth here. Did you watch? You guys have watched Varsity Blues, right? You know,
look who you talking to.
Rymir don't watch movies. I mean,
Rymir doesn't watch movies or TV or anything really.
Well, you watch Varsity Blues, Evan.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Billy Bob, the big lineman? You know,
Billy Bob, yeah.
And I'm a big guy, so Billy Bob's got his gut hanging over his whatever.
Brian's tall, boys. I saw Brian in person.
First of all,
Brian's tall.
Brian right now is morbidly obese because he has no hips.
I'm like 6'1", 6'2" on a good day. Brian's taller than me, boys.
I am not. I'm 5'11".
You're tall,
Evan.
Maybe because you were standing on the step.
Austin told me that Evan told him I was really tall. I'm 5'11".
You're dumb tall.
No, I'm not. I'm 5'11".
All right.
I'm wide. If you return how wide I am right now, because I got no hips and I've been immobile for 3 years. But anyway, look, here's my Muncie story, and I got sent back in like 2016. They played a playoff game against Steel High at Susquehanna Township. I go over there, and it's like 2 minutes. I'm like, oh no, Steel High's going to kill these. Steel High's going to kill these kids. Because they have 5 linemen who all kind of look like Billy Bob, and they came up, they would get in their stance, and their pants would fall down. They'd be trying to pull them up, and Steel High just killed them, 38-3. Now Austin Johnson has been putting up numbers. He's been in our
since he was a freshman, man.
He's been in that top performances in the state a lot, but I just ain't sure that they're ready, Rymir, with maybe they got some better Billy Bobs up front this time around. I don't know.
No. Let me be clear. I think Bishop Guilfoyle comes out of this, but I've seen Austin Johnson. I've seen Muncie. It's a pleasure covering them moons ago, my old stomping grounds, and seeing them come this far. I was talking this way about South Williamsport last year, and Steel High got the better of them then. I think Bishop Guilfoyle is gonna get the better of Muncie now, but man, if that's it for Austin Johnson, at least on the football field, obviously he's got a wrestling season coming up, but seeing like what those guys at Muncie have been able to do and how far that program's come, it's pretty cool.
Rymir, Evan will ride with the teams he's seen now. I'll tell you that. He'll ride.
Yeah. I've picked up on that.
Yeah, I got.
Yeah.
So I know you were heartbroken last week when Bonner Prendy took your John Paul II kids and whooped up on them.
Yeah, I mean, past couple of years, like the turnover bug has hit Pope John Paul II pretty hard. 5 turnovers, losing by 1 touchdown, mind you, off of 5 turnovers. But 5 turnovers nonetheless. It's hard to win football games. And then that was last year. And the year before that, BJP faced Interborough. That was Abu Kamara's insane Delaware County record-setting extravaganza. Go back and read that one, man. That was crazy. I was there for that, and he was going off to the point where PJP players are on the sideline saying, like, yeah, like he's pretty good. So
he won our statewide player of the week one.
Abu Kamara. Yeah, he's him.
You got his number?
Oh, look at that. Brian showing Abu Kamara's number right there on the pod. He's got it. He's got the connection.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got Abu's number though.
Yeah. No, he was something special, and
you got to make the contact. That
was a special year for Interborough.
I think he's having a pretty good college career, right?
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me if he were.
All right, so I'm saying Guilfoyle and Fort Cherry.
And Fort Cherry, yeah. I think you're right on that. That's my prediction as well.
And I think I'm going to ride with Fort Cherry. Having been there last year, played a really good Steel High team. I do think last year they were not a little bit, but a lot of bit one-dimensional. They were kind of just like snap at the sig, let him run left and right. I think he might be a little bit better at throwing the ball this year. Not sure. But it does scare me, the fact that Guilfoyle just wore out Westinghouse like they did. So I wouldn't shock me if Guilfoyle won this. I mean, that's a good Westinghouse program.
Yeah.
Any thoughts for you guys? You're on there, Rymir. Any thoughts on 1A?
I mean, it's like my 3rd day out here, so I haven't seen much. But just to be different, I would pick Guilfoyle over Fort Cherry in the state championship.
It's all out there for the taking. All you got to do is soak up the information. There's film everywhere. You got to get on top of this, Rymir. What you got? Who's next?
Well, we're looking at 2A here, and boys, forgive me if you've heard this before, but Troy is kicking A. Here they are, District 4 champion, just like Muncie, District 4 champion. Here they are, 2A semifinals. They're facing District 2 champ Riverside, and then other half of the bracket, you have Whitfield champ South Park, and then Central Clarion out of District 9. Guys, Troy has been like the top ranked program in 4A for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Eric Epler puts the state rankings together. We've had conversations about how dominant Troy has been. They have to be clear-cut favorites to win the Class 2A state title. But, you look at the rest of the area, you look at Riverside, South Park, Central Clarion. Is there anything that kind of stands out to you guys in the Class 2A state bracket?
Well, South Park has a really good running back, Eric Doru. He's put up numbers for a couple years now. And I know he's a guy who's always kind of been in our top performances in the state. I think they can run the ball a little bit. I think South Park's going to get there, but I mean, you run down this. I mean, Troy rung up 7-time defending state champion, Southern Columbia, 69-28 back on November the 8th. And if you run down this list, I mean, they opened up their season beating Sayre 84-12. They beat Athens 55-0. I mean, there's just so many scores like this. 62-10. They beat Canton 61-20.
And that's a crazy score. Look, Canton has been like a premier program over the past few years. Premier program, getting very far in the playoffs. I mean, that was the crew that was the one blip on the map for the Steel High dynasty. They've been right going to the end the past few years. What a notable result that was.
So I think I'm going Troy all the way there. I think they're going to. I mean, I think it'd be a shock if they weren't.
Yeah, I think that's the popular opinion. I have Troy as well.
I'm looking at like Brian. I was going, like you said, I was going through like their schedule, and they opened their season with an 84-12 win over Sayre.
Yeah,
like
what a score!
Their quarterback, Evan Woodbridge, I think.
Rymir froze up. Rymir, what kind of internet you got, man?
Listen, I'm at my mom's house, so it's kind of different. Like she don't got that. She don't got that premium internet like I do.
Megan, see, a couple weeks ago, I gave Austin. I gave him some flack, man, for stealing his neighbor's internet. He kept logging up. Logged into somebody's internet through the wall there.
Hey man, I'm in my like childhood room right now. You got like wood panels behind me.
Yeah.
Internet's holding up. Hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah. They killed Sayre to open. They've been killing everybody. I mean, it would be a shock if they didn't win at all. So.
It's hard to bet against them.
Yeah.
District 4 has been killing it this year. Of course, Danville is also in the state semifinals at Class 3A. They'll be going up against Northwestern and Lehigh. Then on the other half of the 3A state bracket, you have Penn Cambria, District 6 champion, and then WPIAL champ Avonworth. Guys, Danville has been, I've been living in Pennsylvania going on year 4 here. They've been stellar my whole time. I don't know about you guys. You guys have been here a lot longer than I have. Is there anything else about the 4A state bracket that just
Danville's been really good. I got them checking out though. Northwestern Lehigh's, they've been on a mission. I think they got Eli Zimmerman. Not the biggest dude in the world, but he's just he was all PA last year. Eli Zimmerman at like 5'8", 150 pounds, playing D-back for them. And because he had like 11 picks, and they went to the state championship game, I believe, last year, right? Right, Evan?
Yeah.
So they went to the state championship last year. He's back. They lost some guys. I didn't think they were going to be this good, but man, they've been putting whippings on everybody all year. I think they're going to win it. I do think Avonworth is pretty darn good though. So that, I mean, if that's the matchup, that would be a heck of a game.
Yeah. Let's see. That's Northwestern Lehigh versus Danville is at Berwick High School. It's Friday, 7 p.m. And then Penn Cambria, Avonworth. That's going to be at Norwin, also at 7 p.m. So we'll be looking at that one for statewide results on Friday. Looking at 4A, boys. Obviously, District 3 representative here, Lampeter Strasburg. They came out with a 30-27 overtime howitzer to get this far into the state semifinals. They're going to be facing WPIAL champ Thomas Jefferson. That win was obviously against Wyomissing. And then on the other half, obviously, Bonner Prendy beat up on Pope John Paul 35-7, of course. And then District 11 champ Southern Lehigh meets them on that half of the bracket. That one's at Central Bucks West, 7 p.m. Friday. And then, of course, Thomas Jefferson Lampeter Strasburg is at Altoona, 1 p.m. Friday. Little afternoon matinee. Guys, Lampeter Strasburg is obviously in our backyard, but looking across the entire 4A bracket, these state semifinals, anything stand out to you matchup wise?
I think you're ending up with Bonner Prendy and Thomas Jefferson, and I think Bonner's going to win it this year. I just think they've been really good. I think their losses have been against. I think they lost to LaSalle College, right? Which is, even though LaSalle College lost to St. Joe's Prep in the playoffs, they beat them earlier in the year, and still in my mind are probably one of the top 2 or 3 teams in Pennsylvania, even though they're out of this thing. So no shame in that. I think Bonner Prendy's going to win the thing. I know you're a Philly guy, Rymir. I don't know how much you know about them, but I like them to win it, although I know Thomas Jefferson's pretty darn good.
You cut out. I did not hear you.
You're a
Rymir,
Philly guy. That's what we're saying.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Rymir's got. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna buy your mom better internet or something.
Somebody
You
needs.
got to flush those packets, man.
Yeah,
Somebody
yeah,
needs.
Don't I know?
call Evan something.
Mhm.
No, I mean you're a Philly guy. You know anything about Bonner Prendy? I think they're going to win it all, but it wouldn't shock me if Thomas and Jefferson did. Sorry, Lampeter. I hate to count you guys out. You've had a heck of a year. Feel free to prove me wrong, and we'll be glad to pump you guys up, talk about that some, and we'll probably even cover you heavily through the state championship. But I think it's going to be Thomas Jefferson and Bonner Prendy, and I think Bonner Prendy. All right, moving on. Who else do we have? You guys got nothing to add there? Come on, guys.
I thought you were pitching it to Rymir, man.
Come on, guys. One of you.
I'm sorry. The internet just keep cutting out.
Rymir's internet is struggling.
It's-
What I would add is that Lampeter Strasburg, I think this was their first year, 10-0, and now they're in the state semis. I mean, this is to take down Wyomissing as well on top of it, and Wyomissing's been a great program in District 3 for past few years, making the past few District 3 finals at 3A classification against Mid-Penn Zone West Perry. So for those guys to get this far on what's been a historic season, however much more they get out of it, good for them. And if their season comes to an end on Friday, I mean, it's been a year unlike any other for those guys.
Yeah, they've always had a pretty solid program since I've been here. Lampeter has. So if it does end, it's a great year for them. But, hey, we don't mind seeing them make it. I think this is a tough haul for them.
Hey, prove us wrong. Prove us wrong. Any Lampeter Strasburg guys, any of you guys out there, go do the dang thing. Prove us wrong.
Who else we got going here?
Well, that's it for 4A, boys. We got a couple of our own in 5A and 6A. You want to dive into 5A?
Yeah. Who we got? What are our matchups? What's our final 4 right now?
Hey, man. We're going to be up. Eric Epler and I, man, myth, legend, and I are going to be up at Altoona Mansion Park covering Bishop McDevitt versus Whitfield champion Pine Richland in the freezing cold. And then, of course, on the other half of the bracket, you have District 1 champ Westchester Ruston and Roman Catholic out of Rymir Stomping Grounds, Philadelphia. And that's going to be at Westchester Henderson. Rymir, your boy Tyler Renhart has been heating up. I hope you can hear me. Hope your connection's good. Tyler Renhart, he has 4 interceptions in the past 2 games.
Every time
that's pretty good.
Did you hear me,
Rymir?
Brother, I'm sorry.
I hear you.
You hear me? The last thing I heard was Tyler Reinhardt in 2
Yeah, man.
In the last
2 weeks covered. He asked you about Tyler Reinhardt and how he's been heating up, but also the last 2 weeks, Rymir's covered Roman Catholic, and then he covered McDevitt the week before. So you covered two of the teams in this Final 4, and how do you feel about what you saw from them at this point in the season and where they're at?
Okay. I think I'm back. McDevitt, I like McDevitt. I think the main thing that I like about McDevitt, specifically about their offense, is that they can win either way. I think if they have it going, they can win on the ground and they can win through the air. Dominic Diaz-Ellis is a legit receiver, and Nazir Jones-Davis, I believe. If I'm saying this, I think
Yep.
that's
Nazir Jones Davis. Yeah.
he's a good back as well, and he really ended the game against Mechanicsburg. They handed the ball off to him really pretty much, especially with Stone struggling as much as he did in the second half against Mechanicsburg. He really ended the game. They can beat you on the ground through the air, and I thought that was very.
Rymir is having some technical difficulties here.
What was the last thing you
heard? Nazir Jones Davis.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I just want to say, I think if McDevitt, I'm actually going to pick. I picked them to win this game. But I think Pine Richland. I haven't even watched a ton of Pine Richland this year. Normally, I have. They typically have a knack for putting out some pretty darn good offensive lines and offensive linemen. Some of the better offensive lines in the state the last couple years. So without having watched a ton of them on film, I just have a feeling like that's usually a pretty hard nose, which I hate to kind of use that typical use that adjective there because everybody is so thrown out there. But I think they're physical. They're usually a physical squad. McDevitt's going to have to play a really good error-free to win. But I think they have the tools to do it. So I'm gonna ride with the more hyper local to Central PA team and McDevitt getting through there. On the other side, Roman Catholic has been trying. Rymir's probably seen this too. They've been trying for years with Coach Rick Preet, who actually came over he was an Imhotep, and he came over to Roman, and they've been building and building and building. They've been playing these really good teams in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, and they've kind of been on the verge and the cusp for a while. They have a really good quarterback, Samaj Fields, who at one point had an Alabama offer when Saban was still there. He's kind of wiry. Kind of reminds me a little bit, maybe even of Bryce Young with his build, and he can kind of flip it out there pretty good with his arm. They have some playmakers around him, some good athletes. I think they're going to be. I think they'll break through. If you get a McDevitt Roman Catholic game, you get to watch two pretty good quarterbacks. One who's committed to Kentucky, and one who will play somewhere pretty good. And Beals go at it. That'll be a fun game. I think McDevitt has a pretty good shot to win this. There have been a couple times this season where McDevitt's come out a little bit flat. They have to avoid that. They have to avoid the mistake. If they do that, I think they could win it. Same time, wouldn't shock me if Pine Richland beat them and just won the whole thing.
Well, at piggybacking off of that, I really feel like this is, this half of the bracket, given from my time covering District 1, District 12, I just feel like the winner between Bishop McDevitt and Pine Richland, this is the pseudo state final. I feel like whoever wins this one's really gotta be the favorite heading into Chapman Field.
I mean, again, Rymir, you've seen Roman Catholic, you've seen McDevitt the last 2 weeks. They get matched up. I mean, do you think it's a runaway for anybody there in that matchup?
I don't think it's a runaway. I think it's going to be a close game. That is the matchup. Like you said, they got two really good quarterbacks. Like Stone is committed to Kentucky for a reason, and Samaj Beals, he still does have that Alabama offer. And these are two really good quarterbacks that lead two good offenses. I don't think it'll be a runaway. I think both teams kind of struggled a bit on defense in some points of the games that I watched, but it's really going to come down to who can get a stop.
Yeah.
Before we touch on 6A, before we transition to 6A, just Stone record watch. He's one touchdown pass away from 200 career touchdown passes. That's obviously the most all time. He just became the first passer in Pennsylvania ever passed for 3,000 yards in 4 straight seasons, and he's 266 passing yards away from breaking Alex Irby's all-time record passing yardage at 13,562. That's a lot of passing yards. He's also coming up close on the completions record. Yes, there is a completions record. So we'll be on the watch for that tonight, or not tonight, but Friday in Altoona.
Yeah.
Guys.
I think I'm a roll. Like I said, I think I'm a roll with the hyperlocal team. The more hyperlocal to us, Central PA with McDevitt. But I think it wouldn't shock me. I hate to count out Roman Catholic too, but Pine Richland's so solid. Wouldn't shock me if they won it all too.
Yeah,
I think this might be one of the tougher ones to pick. 5A, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I think the state champion comes out of the winner of those two. Whoever survives Friday night. I think they have my vote of confidence heading into Chapman Field.
No confidence for Rustin.
I will
and
say
Roman too, Rymir.
I will say Rustin, this is the best year that they've ever had, and I don't know.
They've been fantastic. They've been fantastic in District 1. They're having such a special year.
Yeah.
And, I'm not taking anything away from them. Coming back from, when Austin Herzog and I were out there for how long we were, they've always been, top of the district, right among the top. And they've had such a tremendous season. I think at this point, though, we're talking state semifinals. I just think the winner between Pine Richland and Bishop McDevitt, whoever comes out of that, man, I think that's going to be my pick for the state final.
Yeah, I don't think I said this is the best year they ever had. I'm not sure on that. It's just I don't remember them being this deep since I've been in Pennsylvania, which is about 8 years now. So it's been a good run for them. I just don't. I think Roman Catholic's going to come through there, but we'll see.
We'll see. That's why you play the game.
Let's say who we got left.
Yeah, we're going to move on to 6A. We obviously have another mid-pen crew still alive. We're down to 2 left. One's Bishop McDevitt, and then another four-peat champion at 6A, Harrisburg, facing off against Pittsburgh Central Catholic. They will also be at Altoona's Mansion Park Stadium Saturday, 1 p.m. on the other half of the bracket. We got another District 1 champion, Downingtown West, against, of course, St. Joe's Prep. Boys, let's dive on in to the state semifinals at 6A. Anything stick out to you? Harrisburg versus Pittsburgh Central Catholic, Downingtown West versus St. Joe's Prep.
Well, I think this was supposed to be the rebuilding year for St. Joe's. They lost so much from last year. Mach Jones at quarterback, all the wide receivers, David Washington, and those guys. And yeah, here they are again, and they beat LaSalle College. I think you have to put them as the favorite. I think they're probably going to win it again. Central Catholic's been really good. They beat up on State College, pretty good State College team last year. I'm gonna stick with the hyper local pick though, and go again. I say hyper local. Weird PIAA podcast, but I mean we're in Harrisburg. I'm gonna pick the Harrisburg guys to get through this, only because again, I think over the last 8-9 years, well, since I've been here, last 8 years or so, Cal Everett's staff, and I don't like pumping up coaches a lot. I like to talk about players, but the staff there at Harrisburg, and I'll say this, I tweeted this after they won District 3 title. They have shown a knack. There are certain things that I think really good coaches, there are certain signs and marks of good coaches. One, you don't lose to teams you should beat. If you're always kind of seeing a coach lose 1 or 2 games every year, that they should probably win their team. I think there might be a coaching issue, but Harrisburg has had a knack over the better part of the last decade of getting better as the season has gone on. You saw it last year. They lost to Manheim Township, got beat up pretty good in the first game, come back and won the district title. They get better and better as the season goes on. I think that they get Kevin Brown back. They're running the ball a little bit better. I think they are kind of building. So I think they're going to be physical. Again, they're going to be undermanned a little bit, roster size. But I think they can beat Central Catholic. Wouldn't surprise me if Central Catholic beat them by 2 or 3 touchdowns at the same time, but I'm going to pick Harrisburg to get through. I just don't know that they can beat St. Joe's Prep.
One thing I'll say about Harrisburg is that, I covered that game with Eric Epler this past Saturday. I went straight from that game, drove 3.5 hours to my parents in New Haven for Thanksgiving. The whole time I was driving, I was kind of just, digesting the game, really thinking about it. And I got to say, I feel like this is what we were kind of waiting for and what they were kind of waiting for too, right? Like when you look at the box score and you can't tell the whole game from the box score, but Messiah Mickens, 2 touchdowns. Nehemiah Ewell, 52-yard rushing touchdown. Deontay Sheffy, he found the end zone. You're looking at that 3-headed beast of a backfield, everyone getting a touchdown. And then you look at who did they get back on the offensive line? Kevin Brown. And what did Messiah Mickens say last week? In the district semis against Manheim Township, he said, we have a pretty good running game, but with Kevin Brown back, that puts it at a different level. We haven't seen this product yet this season. I feel like what they were able to do against Wilson is what we have been waiting for, what they have been waiting for. And don't get me wrong, I think Wilson had a pretty good run defense. I think they were defending pretty well. Harrisburg had these real big chunk plays, but what Harrisburg was able to do against those guys, getting everyone involved in the backfield, Messiah Mickens, 4-star Penn State commit, Deontay Sheffy, 4-star Syracuse commit, Nehemiah Ewell, he was only a 1,200-yard rusher last year. This 3-headed dragon in the backfield that we have been talking about the entire offseason, we saw it against Wilson in a championship setting. It was an awesome, awesome thing to see for Harrisburg. So, if they're able to just lean on that rushing attack that we saw, obviously, I think Wilson did a great job on the run defense. Maybe it doesn't show it tremendously in the box score. Saw a lot of chunk plays, but I really, really, really like the signs that we saw from their rushing attack.
On the flip side, just to play devil's advocate, is Central Catholic has they got 3 guys with 13 tackles for loss, at least 13 tackles for loss. That's a front 7 that's obviously good at, getting after running backs and, stopping plays in the backfield. And if Harrisburg is going to, dominate on the ground, they have to figure out a way to block. And getting Kevin Brown back does help that. But that matchup is going to be the matchup that really decides who wins this game.
I think it'll be coming down to how can Harrisburg dictate the tempo with their run game, get Elias Koch involved, because, he got hurt this past game. It was about I want to say it was 2 minutes left in the third quarter. He got hurt. He was banged up, on crutches, ice pack on his ankle, elevating the leg on the bench. He's hopeful to play. We're not quite sure what the injury was or the severity, but he is hopeful that there's optimism he may be able to play. And if he's able to suit up, that is tremendous for Harrisburg. Otherwise, it's a brutal blow for Harrisburg. Not that there's a good time for injury, but state semifinals, it's a crushing blow if they can't have a guy of his caliber able to take the top off of defense. So be interesting to monitor that as well. That's going to be a really major key component into who's going to be winning this thing.
Yeah, Central Catholic has a really good quarterback, Jair Walls, good running back, Elijah Faulkner. Bradley Gompers is there. He's a big time recruit. Some people even have him ranked as the number 1 player in the state for this class. And then got the kid who's going to Penn State too, Xavier Thomas, the corner. So good ball players. If Harrisburg is to beat them, tough task. Would not shock me to see Central Catholic versus St. Joe's Prep. I would still roll with St. Joe's Prep, but I'm going to pick Harrisburg to get there. I think that they've been on a mission. They've been trying to get back to play St. Joe's again after a couple of years ago when they got, whipped up on there and Cumberland Valley by them, by that loaded St. Joe's Prep team. So that's our outlook, guys. I think we kind of threw it out there, maybe who we think could take this thing, and could go out. Look, they still got to play the games. These teams are all very good to get here. Hats off to all of them for making it. We are going to be next week in full force out at Cumberland Valley. Guess what, guys? I'm running the meeting next week because Austin's let me run the meeting. So Evan knows. Evan, we're going to load up on that state championship coverage.
Load up that budget, baby.
We're going to have Evan riding around. If one of our teams make it, we're going to have him riding around Harrisburg with McDevitt.
Hey, I got a compliment on my driving from Joe Hermit.
Yeah.
When I was trucking him and Jimmy around for the Steel High Parade, baby.
It's a fun time, though. Look, we'll have stuff next week for us who makes it. We're going to have top guys to watch. All your top prospects coming into Cumberland Valley, all, different things about different teams. Going to be a big week of coverage on PennLive.com. Make sure you check that out. We're at 55 minutes when we had no net and really not a ton to talk about. We thought off the rip, but we got through it, guys. We doubled
6
up
brackets will do that to you.
We doubled up our contractually obligated time. Anything else to add before we break and go get ready for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I'm just ready for Thanksgiving, man.
Yeah.
Yep. Everybody out there have a good Thanksgiving. Rymir, anything?
Be safe. Happy Thanksgiving. Eat food. Enjoy life. Enjoy your family. And enjoy football if you can. The slate is terrible, but have a good day, I guess.
Yeah, Rymir, you gotta let us know about this whole point shaving scandal you were involved in. Anyway,
I wasn't involved. I wish. I wish I
had insider knowledge. That's all I'm saying, Evan. It sounded like you may have had insider knowledge.
There's always a conspiracy going on around here.
Where are you at right now in the country?
Me?
Yeah.
Philly, East Coast. Back home.
Fed's gonna kick your door down. They in Philly already over at Temple now. They're gonna kick your door down now.
Hey man.
Like the Gestapo.
What did you know, Rymir? What did you know you couldn't say on air, Rymir?
It's okay. I tell them because I wasn't involved.
They're gonna kick the door down, slap the turkey leg out your mouth.
That's crazy.
Yep. And start interrogating. So hey, tell them how to find you on social media.
At Rymir Vaughn on Twitter.
At Evan Wheaton on Twitter.
And I'm at Sports by B Linder on Twitter. Again, PennLive.com. We'll have a ton of stuff coming down to the wire here. And then even after the season with all stars and all states and everything else that comes with that. And signing day coming up. We're going football crazy the next couple weeks. And we'll have all stars for the other sports that are already checked out too. Evan's pointing at me. I don't know why. Megan, our producer Megan's up. Her cat's popping up on the live feed too. Megan, you got anything to say?
Let's wrap this up and go eat turkey.
That sounds good. Check us out again next week, PennLive.com.
Bone, joint, and muscle injuries, they can happen without warning. That's why UPMC Orthopedic Care provides convenient walk-in access at our injury clinics throughout the region. No appointments are needed, just walk in for expert evaluation and exceptional care by our team of orthopedic specialists. Clinics are located in Carlisle, Lidditz, Harrisburg, and Enola. For directions and hours or to learn more, visit upmc.com/injuryclinic.